What's going on, guys? In this video, I want to talk about and I want to run through one of the most important topics that I feel is facing, destroying, and ruining the lives of so many young men. And that topic is lust. Now, before I talk about why I believe lust to be so damaging and why I want you to really understand why lust is so damaging, I want to start by saying I 100% empathize with any guy who is struggling with lust. Sex, temptation, and everything that goes alongside it is everywhere. It's on your social media. It's in your favorite Netflix shows. It's in the music that you listen to. And whilst I could say, don't do any of those things, don't watch TV, don't listen to music, don't go on social media, I can't say that to you. It's just not feasible and it's just not going to work. So my way of thinking when it comes to lust is I want you to really understand the true damage that it can cause, because I think when you understand the true damage that it causes, you can start to think about beating it and battling it in a very different way. So the first and most important place to start on this topic is that I want you to realize and I want you to understand that your lustful thoughts are only going to get worse. Now, unfortunately, when it comes to anything in life, the more you've had of something, the more of that something you need in order to get the same level of enjoyment. And this is true with anything, food, alcohol, you name it, it's the same case. But it is especially true when we're talking about lustful thoughts. So cast your mind back. I'm willing to bet that when you first saw a naked girl, you felt an insane level of arousal and you couldn't believe what you were looking at because it was just amazing in your eyes. You flash forward to where you're at now, and that same naked girl in front of you would do absolutely nothing for you. And you now need something more extreme, more hardcore in order to get any form of stimulation or any form of arousal. This is what lust does. Lust will challenge every single tolerance that you have and it will destroy it. And it will get your mind going to places that you don't want your mind going to. It will get some thoughts coming into your head that you don't want coming into your head. So I want you to really understand this, and I want you to really, really believe this the next time you get a lustful thought. Do not give in to it, because you can stop a thought becoming a feeling and you can stop a feeling becoming an action, but you have to stop that thought in the first place in order to prevent that cycle beginning. So a really, really good question, and I think a really, really important thing which can really help you really understand the negative effect that lust can have on you is to ask yourself, how do you feel when you look in the mirror after you've masturbated? Or how do you feel in yourself when you've masturbated after? I'm willing to bet the answer is not great. I'm willing to bet the answer is probably underwhelmed. And I'm also willing to bet that you think to yourself, that didn't give me the same level of satisfaction that I wish it could do. So remember that before you even consider giving in to a lustful thought. Secondly, I want you to understand that lust has the power to leave you feeling truly empty. And truth be told, you may already feel truly empty now. It's important to say though, you can lust over anything. You can lust over money, you can lust over a car, and you can absolutely lust over women, and you can absolutely lust over sex. But the key thing really that encapsulates and really brings all forms of lust together is the fact that you are chasing after something or you want something that you don't currently have. But I think the key thing to say around this lust is that your life or your happiness is not going to be better when you get that said thing. And this is something that I see more and more as I've got older. When I talk to guys that are my age or a little bit older, maybe guys in their 40s, a lot of these guys have had promiscuous experiences when they were younger. A lot of these guys have had a lot of casual sex. But most of these guys will look back and they will say that they chased these things and they wanted all of those things because they felt truly empty at the time, because they felt insecure at the time, or because they felt like they just weren't good enough in a certain way. And no matter how much of that experience they had, they didn't feel better at the time now. And in many cases, these guys don't feel better now. And it's the same as well for guys that watch a lot of porn when they're younger. When I speak to guys that have done this, most of them will say they watched a lot of porn when they were younger because they were lazy, because they were shy, because they didn't know how to talk to women. And they'll look back and they'll say that they wish they'd learnt those skills when they were younger and at the right time. Think about a guy who breaks up a marriage. Think about a guy who has an affair, cheats on his wife. That's because he's given into a lustful thought. And whilst I appreciate there may be exceptions, ultimately when I look at guys that do that, I don't think many of those guys are in a better place. And I don't think many of those guys really feel better for having an affair or for cheating on their wife or breaking up their marriage, breaking up their family, no matter what it is. I use these 3 examples because I want you to understand lust has the power to destroy everything that you have in your life, plain and simple, and it can destroy it in a covert way that you don't even realize that it's doing. Thirdly, whilst you probably want a relationship or you probably want to be with a woman more than anything, your lustful thoughts are probably making that even harder to achieve than you possibly realize. So if you watch a lot of porn, I'm willing to bet that your judgment and your understanding of what women are really like is probably somewhat skewed. And I'm also willing to bet as well that your understanding and your experiences of sex are probably somewhat skewed as well. When you're watching porn and you're watching this very fictitious stage representation of what sex and what women are like, that is what you are instinctively telling your mind that sex and women should be to you. But then you're going into your day-to-day life and you're talking to women and you just can't relate to them because the representation that you see of women comes from what you see in porn. And if you are sexually active and it's not fulfilling you and you're watching porn at the same time, it's because what you're seeing in porn has massively clouded your judgment of what sex should be in real life for you. And I always think it's so ironic when I hear guys complain about women, because guys are complaining about women being too sexual, but then at the same time, their representation and how they see women comes from what they see in porn or what they see on OnlyFans. It is a massive, massive oxymoron. But again, what I really want you to understand is that every single time you watch porn, every single time you see a naked woman that you don't know or you're not in a relationship with, that is clouding your judgment and that is clouding your perception of what a real woman and what real sex can be like. And again, as I've said so many times through this video, that a real woman and real sex is going to feel a million times better than what you see in porn. And lastly, lust is a massive false high. And again, I really understand this one. It can feel amazing to want something. It can feel amazing to chase something. But as is the case with anything in life, where there is a high, there will be a low. And that low, in most cases, means that the high that you chase probably wasn't worth it. So sure, you can get a dopamine release when you watch porn. You can get a dopamine release and a strong feeling of validation when you have casual sex with someone. But that high, that dopamine release is going to be poor in relation to how you feel about yourself after. You're just not going to feel better. And I think instinctively you know this. I think instinctively you know this because you clicked on this video. So what I want to remind you is every single time you have a lustful thought, you're chasing something, you're chasing someone because you think it's going to be fulfilling, you think it's going to be exciting, you think it's going to make you feel better. That low is going to be worse than the high is good. So always remember that. So thank you so much for watching this video. And I genuinely hope from the bottom of my heart that you have taken something from this. And I genuinely hope that even if you just watched a little bit of this video, you've got some merit from it. I want you to understand that your lustful thoughts are normal, but you don't have to become your lustful thoughts. You can beat them, you can defeat them, and you can have a life which is ultimately so much better than it feels now. So thank you so much for watching this video. And if you liked it, please can I ask you to click like and subscribe down below. Thank you, and I will see you in the next one.